Hello, this is OT6 Instructions Part 2. Let's go back to Mrs. Tanos's case. You've issued the application. We now know what that means. You must look at your instructions. What's the next thing you've been asked to do? Yes, that's right. We have to take Mrs. Tanos to the court office to swear the affidavit. Most courts will have someone, a court officer, for example, who's authorised to swear oaths. This involves the person who's making the statement affirming that the contents of the statement are true. They can either swear it on the Bible or simply affirm that it is true. The deponent, the person making the statement, will sign it, and the court officer will also sign it, date it, and put an official stamp on it. And there is usually a cost to do so of around £5. What do you think Mrs. Tanos should do before swearing that the contents of her statement are true? Well, common sense dictates that she should read it through first, although we do know that she doesn't understand the language and the affidavit will be in English. So how can she do this? And the answer to that is it has to be done through the interpreter. So it may take a bit of a while. Question is, can she make any changes as she's reading it through? If she wants to make changes, can she do so? The answer is yes, as long as she doesn't change her whole story. Minor changes are acceptable. In fact, affidavits are typed with double line spacing just for this purpose. And your job would be to cross out anything that needs amending, write in the amendments, and then get Mrs. Tanos to initial them. The court officer will then stamp each amendment that has been made. The beauty of swearing an affidavit is that it now becomes a piece of evidence, and sometimes in civil proceedings can be presented to the court instead of the witness attending and giving evidence under oath. But of course there are penalties if there is an untruth in an affidavit, just like there is a penalty if somebody lies under oath in a witness box in court. Do you know what that is? The answer is that lying under oath, whether it be in a written statement like an affidavit or in court in a witness box, is called perjury. And this is a criminal offence which carries a sentence of imprisonment of up to 7 years in jail. So it's quite a severely serious matter. So if you now carry on reading your instructions, paragraph 3, you'll see that after we've asked to take Mrs. Tanos to swear the affidavit, we're then told to take the original to the court office. This means lodging it there so that the court can place it in their own court file. However, the instructions then go on to say, please can you make a note of the original jurat on the 2 copies. But wait a minute, you've just been asked to file the original at the court office. So it means you may have to go down to the court office, ask to have it back, and you may be told, sorry love, it's gone down to the vaults, you have to fill in a form and wait for it to come back up. So it's been a bit of a waste of time. Now, to avoid this, it would be a good idea, before you do anything in respect of your instructions, to read it through all first and then make notes to yourself on your paralegal day sheet. Please turn to page 7 of your course material. What you see here is a paralegal day sheet, and this is a form that you can use for your own use. It will help you not only file the details of the jobs you've done, but more importantly, to make notes of everything you need to do in relation to your instructions as you read them through. So please follow the action on page 10 of your study notes. When it comes to putting step-by-step instructions to yourself, you could write, for example, number 1, meet the client, counsel and interpreter at court. Number 2, get the client to sign the legal aid form and ensure she's aware of the instalments. Number 3, issue the application. Number 4, get the client to swear the affidavit and make a note of the jurat from the original onto the 2 copies. Number 5, file the original affidavit at the court office. Number 6, well, we actually haven't got that far yet. So now let's go back to Mrs. Tanos and finish her off, as it were. There's just one last thing you've been asked to do. What's that? That's right, you have to get the interpreter to give you a list of his fees to put on the file. There's one final question. As you know, an ex parte application is quite often due to emergencies. There is an emergency in Mrs. Tanos's case. Do you know what it is? For the answer to this, please go to OT 7. This is the end of OT 6. Thanks very much.